I did it purposely at 13 seconds. Spooky. Hey!
Anyway, happy full moon.
Is today a full moon?
Happy full moon in Aquarius, because Aquariuses are aliens. Anyway.
All right.
Segue into our topic.
You're gonna learn me on some stuff. That's the fun part about this show. So, for you guys watching, this is episode 2. This has been recorded. Who knows? We're still waiting on some stuff to kind of put these out to the general public. The Men in Black knocked, and they have to review all of our episodes. No, so this is our a little bit of a different look. We got a little bit of layout. All this stuff obviously won't work right yet because we're not live streaming. So this is kind of you guys to watch and be like, wow, I can't wait till you guys go live and we can interact. And
it's a teaser.
We're getting to the point where, like, if you donate or you subscribe, your name will pop up there. So you can be the top donator, the most recent, or if you share the stream while it's going live, your name will pop up, and we have a lot of cool things. Like, I'll show you. Let's test one out here. All right, this is someone who just recently followed us, so his name's up top. Boom.
What?
There it is. We're gonna turn those sound effects off though, but that's gonna that's gonna be cool. So yeah, if you guys like what you hear, definitely hit the like, follow, share. All social media platforms are out there. You can just follow us on Truth Behind Illusion. We are on Facebook. We have a Facebook like page. We have a Facebook group where you could be interactive, hang out, and talk with us. We made a post on there saying, what's your favorite local ghost story?
Yes.
And it blew up.
It blew up. I'm so excited.
So we have a lot of content to possibly go check out and possibly to reach out to people to be like, hey, do you want to come talk? So a lot of cool stuff there. We don't have our banner yet. All of our shows have a banner, so we kind of superimposed the banner. That's our all-seeing kitty.
I love him.
We don't have a name for him yet. You guys can name him.
Name him.
Yeah, you can name the kid or her. Whatever you want to do.
We're gender inclusive.
Yes, so you can name the kitty, and that kitty is also going to be on all merchandise now. So you can head over to our merch page and go and check that out and buy T-shirts and coffee mugs and stickers and banners. Yeah. We are going to get another logo soon. We'll say the name of the show around it. We're working on that. Yep. And possibly have another logo down the road that we're going to. Yeah. So we have a lot of cool stuff. And then we have other people who said they want to help and do stuff for the show. If you want to make a fan logo and we'll put it on T-shirts, we're down for that as well. So all of our network shows aren't just for us. Like, we're recording and doing stuff, but we're always open doors to let people come on and join us. Make the show yours. Share it. Join our like page. Or join our group pages. Talk to us. Some of your content that you post in there can be future episode topics.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all about the connection with you guys and doing cool things.
I know it's Bree and Star Mazak, the ones that were talking about the cemetery in Shenandoah. They were actually, they were students of mine at Shenandoah Drama Club.
Oh, really?
Yep. So that's something that we were talking to them about.
I worked with a girl. Now, this is something to kind of, that once they told me that, I was like, what's the backstory, right? Because, so I talked to this girl who lived in the Heights. I used to work with her at a previous job. And she's like, I jog by the cemeteries all the time, or I jog through the cemeteries. And she says there's been plenty of times where I've seen people walking through the cemetery, and like I will jog and my vision will kind of be blocked by a tombstone or something, and then when I get to the other side, they're no longer there.
I love that.
And she says I'll see someone on the road, like we seen this one old lady where like there's no cars there, no one's parked, no one's visiting, and they see like an elderly lady, and then they're like, well, we should probably go check on her, and then when they loop back around, she's gone. Yeah. So there has been that has, and this is before this podcast is even a thing. I've heard stories of people seeing stuff in the Shenandoah Heights area. Yeah. Now, I have a weird theory, like not theory, but I always question like cemeteries. Like cemeteries don't really creep me out because I'm like, why would they want their energy to be where they were, like where their physical body is? Wouldn't you want to be somewhere where you're like more?
You would, or I mean, it's the idea of just like going into that kind of thing, the tragedy surrounding your death. Like there could be, depending on the tragedy, you could literally go into, sorry, I always do this. You could cross over into the next life and literally have no idea where you are. So you're literally just walking in a loop wherever your body was, like the last like place that you were left.
Okay, so you're kind of searching for the way.
There's a whole spectrum. There's a whole spectrum of like people, whatever, like soul, reincarnation, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a lot of people that just get stuck.
There's also theories, too, where people are like, well, a ghost isn't trapped to one location. A ghost can move, or you can take something home with you. So there's really no rule book. No one really knows the rule book to it. So I just kind of always weirded me out. Like, if I lived in my house for 35 years, and then I was buried in a cemetery, the last place I'd probably want to hang out is outdoors at a cemetery where I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But once again, who knows the fucking rule book? This is
And it could very well maybe somebody that worked at the cemetery and really
Yeah.
liked their job, and then when they passed around, they're still
Very
like
true.
upkeeping.
Yeah. Now, everything about our show, just to kind of get it out there as well, is all speculation. So
Yeah.
if you don't believe in anything we're talking about, that's fine.
Totally fine.
That's perfectly fine. We're not, I'm not getting like a super liberal artsy college talk here, but like you're 100% available because I'm at the point where I'm open-minded, but I don't really know what to believe yet. I'm more like it has to smack me in the face before I believe it.
And I believe in everything.
Yeah. And you're just like, it could be true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is a cool dynamic of this show. Last episode I did a really shitty Mothman, but that'll be something we could top into another time. That was kind of like a test run. Today we're going to talk about ET, UFOs, aliens,
Yep.
and not the ones Trump's talking about. Not the ones, well, I mean, he kind of is.
Yeah, kind of.
We're starting a Space Force, you know, but not,
Listen.
yeah.
I got shit I want to say about this.
Extraterrestrial, we'll say, beings is what we're going to
ETs,
talk about.
yep.
I mean, I'm kind of into the idea of it. I think it'd be cool because once again, I'm someone who's like anti-religious or religion, and not that I'm rooting for us to not be the highest thing on the food chain, but just to the fact that us as humans are kind of cocky. You know what I mean?
True.
And it's not just
Because we've been bred to feel so.
we always feel like we're the smartest one in the room, the most powerful one in the room. We're the alphas. We're top dog or top girl. I don't know how to. I don't know. Talk. I don't know. Bitch,
Yeah.
right? Female dog is a bitch, right?
Yeah.
So, but then if something comes along that kind of knocks us off our pedestal and makes us to not really buy into what we're in, that I'm kind of into that.
There's going to be a lot of people when ET disclosure happens because it's already started to happen. Everyone, hold on to your butts, as Samuel L. Jackson said in Jurassic Park.
I like it.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be in denial about it, which is fine. That's your own prerogative. If you don't believe in it, that's fine. But a lot of people are going to have like huge existential crises because there's a lot of people that don't believe in anything or believe in a certain narrative or whatnot their entire life without being open-minded to other things. And then something's going to come and like smack them in the face and they're just not going to know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be other people that are just kind of like, yeah, we've been waiting for this. Like
me.
Yeah.
Like I'm rooting for it.
And then I'm there just
I'm the
like,
guy with the sign, like, take me to your leader.
And I'm there just like, don't feed into the false narrative. Like, it's all about love.
Yeah. Hoping that they just love us and not want to murder us. Because that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, that narrative and maybe the way things have been portrayed to us.
Yep.
Yeah, man, my whole thing is we live in a time now where everything is just we're anti each other.
Yeah.
And it's deeper than just black versus white or just any race in general.
It's us against them all across the board.
Across the board. It could be religion. It could be race.
Religion,
It could
gender,
be politics.
race, politics.
Everything. Everything has become so politicized that it's, if you don't believe what I believe, F you. Like,
Yeah.
I turn my back to you. So
And that's so damaging.
yeah, so I'm kind of at the point where I hope the big Independent Day ship comes. So then everyone goes, all of our bullshit means nothing now. Like, maybe we should rally together in case this does go south. We should probably be on the same page.
And here's my take on that, is they're talking about like the polarization between the us and them mentality between all sorts of everything across the board. It's the idea, and now this is where my crazy conspiracy theory brain comes into that we all know that I have. It's we are a product of what we have been told, what we have been watching over the years. So there is this huge, I'm going to say, narrative that we have been sold and that we have bought, that we have been following. And even with the media and everything, it's this narrative that brings us to a certain point. And then when we get to a certain point of complete polar opposites, and then we hit with a giant ET invasion, it's that idea of using that fear and that fear of whatever is up there, anything. It's that being
We need to
told,
dominate it.
Yeah, it's that fear of what is it going to do to us, because that's something that we've been told for years since, like I mentioned before, 1930s with the radio broadcast of War of the Worlds, that these are all going to kill us, Independence Day, everything, whatever, that this is going to kill us. So it's like the last ditch effort to get like that complete control over us as a people.
In all reality, it's just giant Paul. It's just Paul's running around.
Yeah,
It's every
it's just
alien
Paul.
is smoking cigarettes and weed, and they just want to go home. They just, you know what I mean?
They're literally just out here just like trying to help us rise the vibes and vibrations.
Yeah.
That's all they're
So
trying to do.
so a little thing that Tori sent me here to kind of start off the show with is this is from thehistorychannel.com. This was published in December 17, 2019. So with the annuals of the American UFO history, a few instances have inspired such very few instances have inspired so much fascination and speculation as the one in Roswell, New Mexico. It began in the summer of 1947 at the dawn of the Cold War when the U.S. Army Air Forces were sent out a shocker of a press release announcing they have recovered a flying disc from a ranch near Roswell. More than 70 years later, the incident remains defining aspect of the area's identity. The town boasts a UFO museum and a research center, a flying saucer-inspired McDonald's, an alien-themed streetlights, and even extraterrestrial family stranded in a broken-down UFO on the side of the state route 285, looking for a jump start. But behind all UFO mania lies an uneasy truth. The events that transpired this summer are anything but clear-cut. With admitted cover-ups and conflicting explanations, it was a saucer, it was a spy craft, it was the Soviets, and new ones are still emerging every day. Now, there is a huge article about it, but pretty much the idea of this is, once again, the boots on the ground put something out,
Yep.
and then it was like, no, none of that's existing. Like, more people kind of get in there, like, then they cover it up. Now, this kind of leads into what we're going to talk about today, where even now, in recent times, the FBI has released files saying, or even videos, videos from Air Force saying that they have a UFO on document, and they are saying that that is a UFO. Now, their counteract to that is, yes, that's a UFO, but our definition of UFO is an unidentified flying object. So it can still be a different country that has a different type of aircraft we don't know about, but what is on that video is not us, and we don't know what it is. Then they released saying that there is extraterrestrial, like what was the most recent one? That there is extraterrestrial life, or they took a step further.
Yeah, it was last week, I think. It was Tucker Carlson was on Fox News on his show, and he had broke a news story that they had found otherworldly machinery. And I don't think he talked much about it, but it was just like, and breaking news, like otherworldly machinery. It's just kind of just one of the things where it's just like, here's mainstream media, plop. Anyway, back to everything else. It's that little programming that's just like, oh, just so you know.
So if shit does go well, we told you.
Yeah, right? It's just like, we told you. I mean,
yeah.
That, or we implanted you with that information that we wanted you to know.
So there's been tons of stuff that not tons, but there's some stuff I've watched where I watched this documentary about a guy. Is it Tucker? Is it the same guy? Maybe we're talking about the same guy. I don't know. But this dude was
younger guy, clean shaven on Fox News with the hair.
No, I'm not sure. But this guy went to he pretty much started working in Area 51, but he didn't work at the actual base. He worked somewhere else and worked there for a while. Then they moved him to where this aircraft was that was recovered. He went in, physically seen the ship, and he said he took a part of its like battery cell, and to this day, like he's like he goes and talks to stuff, but every single time they do, like his place gets raided.
I was gonna say that makes me so nervous for him.
Like his place gets raided, or they get contacted. Like you can't air his story, but like he's someone who said he's worked at Area 51. But if you go and search his information, all his files that he's ever worked there are gone.
Scrubbed clean.
His existence doesn't exist. All his old interviews that he did on public radio or TV don't exist.
Yep.
But he's saying that he worked there. He could tell you exactly how because people think UFOs fly, I guess, flat, and he's trying to say that they kind of, when they fly, they actually tilt, and like the way the design is that it pushes through the eon, like space talk.
Yep.
But like he pretty much explains the entire thing of how these ships work and their technology, and how that technology that was recovered in the Cold War, the reason why our technology has advanced so fast since the Cold War with like iPhones and cars, and everything has just gotten so insanely vast over such a quick period of time is because of this technology. And now like some of that stuff is actually being confirmed, you know, but it just kind of being slipped under the radar a little bit.
See, and I'm for, like, because we were talking before where I had mentioned a man by the name of Werner von Braun, who in the 50s and 60s, well, even before that in the 40s, he was a rocket scientist and just like in the top for like space age technology and like just buildings and crafts for Nazi Germany. And then later on, he became like a rocket scientist for the United States. And on his deathbed, he was mentioning and talking to his one confidant who was then quoted saying about all this sort of stuff. How you had mentioned how like Roswell, it was in the height of the Cold War. How it was then that kind of confirms what we were talking about before when he was talking about like that dynamic that's already planned in that narrative where first it's the Russians, then it's terrorism, then it's like third world crazies, and then it's ETs, and all of it's a narrative, and
Hmm.
all of it's all messed up and everything. So then also going to like the Nazi Germany and the advanced technology I was mentioning before, how Nazi Germany, it's documented how they had advanced technology for their hovercrafts and all sorts of stuff that people don't really.
And they were dabbling into stuff too.
Yeah,
They were
they were.
dabbling into extraterrestrial. They're dabbling into black arts, with Satan. So they were talking about like even like Satanism. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was joked about. But once again, how we're talking about the media, how they not just media. So when people think media, they think
And the history books that were taught in
yeah.
school, like that goes along with it too.
But we talk media, it's not just what you hear on the news. Media is also controlled what movies are put out.
Oh,
With
absolutely.
video
It's called
games.
programming for a reason.
Yeah.
It's a program.
In the Indiana Jones movie, the whole reason of the Lost Ark is because that had supernatural powers,
Yeah.
and when the Nazis opened it without knowing what it was, it melted all their faces off. Like,
Like it's right there. It's right there. It's what it's called. It's hidden in plain sight. And that's what it is. It's just crazy enough to be in Hollywood, but it can't be real.
but when people are like, "Come on, it's a movie,
it's
bro,"
a movie, bro. It's just like, yeah, okay. They're right there. They discredit anything.
yeah. So there's got to be some truth to even fiction. Like,
oh God, yeah.
like me saying this is not saying that I think the character that was created by Wes Craven is a real thing, but Wes Craven was quoted saying one of the reasons he created Freddy Krueger is he went to these he did studies and he went to these places and read articles on these people who had sleep problems. And three of the people told stories about this man with knife fingers would chase them in their dreams. And if they went to sleep, they would die. And then he kind of put it into like a janitor attacking kids, and he put this whole story together. But
Yeah.
every part of Freddy Krueger, maybe it didn't all came from the same location, but every kind of part, every little part of it came from some type of
Yeah.
truth. These people had these spiritual, these ideas in their brain, whether they're not right or they're mentally ill or not, because realistically, is mentally ill always a bad thing? Or you
Or is mentally ill just used to kind of discredit people?
discredit people, or do people who go through that kind I mean, there's people who experiment with certain things, with drugs and different psychedelics and stuff,
Like DMT.
and DMT, and they go to a different place, and two different people who've never talked to each other can say they had the same exact experience. So it's like, I personally, I would nenever do it because I'd not say experimented, but I unwillingly had some experimentation with hallucinogenics, and I did not have a good time. And I was like, I know for a fact I would never be able to do that again. So, but it does fascinate me that people do talk, and I know like, you're like Joe Rogan, bro, you're DMT, bro, but like,
I love the Joe Rogan podcast.
but like they're, I don't know, man, like that mind altering stuff had to start somewhere, and people had to,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Once again, if you don't believe, it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I believe. I'm just talking some of the things that kind of maybe correlate with this, and I'm just trying to put pieces together myself. We're trying to find the truth behind the illusion.
Truth behind the illusion.
Ooh, nailed it. That should be the thumbnail. But yeah, so you were saying with other stuff that you found out with this gentleman who
Yeah, what was I saying? What was the last
The
thing
Nazis.
I said about the Nazis and
Yeah.
everything? Yeah, the Nazis, how they have documented advanced technology that was for the 40s. Like you have a hovercraft in the 40s, which is documented that they have. Like it's a thing. It's not like just like Stranger Than Fiction, whatever. It's a thing. And so a lot of theories and a lot of people have this idea that with that advanced technology being harnessed in a certain way, we should actually be light years ahead of where we are now as a general public. Like we should already be in an advanced civilization, and we're not, because they have everything kind of under wraps, because it's the issue of control. If they find out that they can be self-sufficient, like with Tesla grabbing energy out of the air, or with being able to find inner peace and doing inner work and being able to like connect in different levels, like from your soul, from the inside, from the other 99% of our DNA that is junk DNA. That's another podcast. I told you when we started this, I was like, we're going down.
I feel like Alice right now. I just drank the potion and I'm just flying down this rabbit hole.
Goodbye, Dana.
And all I hear is Tori's voice like, I'm going to fuck you up.
You're not ready for this. But anyway, it's once we find out that, because a lot of people that I've talked to, they all have like this idea where it's just like, I mean, a lot of people, hey, Freddy Krueger, we were just talking about.
No, there he is. He's on here a few times, I think.
I love him. Anyway, we're always like, it's taught that just like, oh, we're just humans and like we're like blah 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 and like we're the scum of the earth and blah 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 and we don't really mean anything and blah blah blah, and it's just kind of like they want that lower vibration, because once you wake up and realize that humans and the human brain and the human DNA is made up of such quantumness that if we would just slowly start to like understand that, in like a decade time, we would be so far out of where we are now. We would solve all of our energy problems, our anything, environmental problems, hate issues, like anything.
But then rich people won't have money.
Oh, that's the problem. The Rothschilds won't control everything.
So you're going to tell me that we can work our own minds and fix a lot of our problems like depression, anxiety, and suicide issues, but not take a magic pill that people make billions of dollars off of a year?
Well, Tony, no, you need that pill. I'm medicated, so like it's fine.
I probably should be.
But it's that idea that like it's no matter how far they let us think that we're still under that thumb. We're still under that thumb where we can only get so far. It's like that idea of like the billionaires and trillionaires. Like you could do whatever you want, but you can only get so far because we want to keep that.
The American dream, baby.
The American dream.
You can get as high as you want.
As long as it's not as high as I am or higher than I am. Yep. And that's exactly the whole thing. Like if we only knew, and I say that from my spiritual awakening and what I've experienced and through meditation and through other sorts of contact, that my contact story will probably have to be an entire different podcast. But just through the community of people that I follow on online and throughout the world and everything, if people only knew how powerful they were, not in a negative aspect, not in a Lord of the Rings type aspect where man will like ruin everything by holding on to the ring. If they only knew how powerful they were.
I mean, realistically, if because I agree with you, I think the mind is strong, and I think mentally, we're just designed to have roadblocks put in front of us. Now, there was a theory that was put out there that, I don't want to say this and come off completely and just someone like I'm turning this off right now, but like the theory is like you have to walk down those stairs, like you can't just jump from the top from the bottom.
No.
So you're told from a kid like walk down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
But the kid's like, well, in my imagination, I could probably fall. And then there's situations or stories where like these kids don't have those barriers put up yet,
Mm-hmm.
or what we're told what the laws of everything are, and they can do things that people can't explain.
Look at the Tibetan monks.
Yeah, because they don't have that barrier of fear or that barrier of what is
those limitations.
The limitations.
The programmed limitations.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that if you really think of it, you could probably fly down your stairs.
Yeah, please don't. We're going to get phone calls.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there is a way to kind of, like, push yourself in different ways. I mean, look at some of our freak athletes of the world, our freak people who just do insane things. Like, that just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, like, everything kind of is like a muscle. Everything is kind of, like, has to be worked and trained and figured out.
Yeah. And here's the thing that I always say to people. It's just like, have you ever been in a situation where your anxiety got so bad that you worried yourself sick?
Mm-hmm.
So what's stopping you from worrying yourself healthy?
Yeah.
And that's the power of the mind. Like my godfather does this thing where he can meditate to a point where he can slow and accelerate his heartbeat just by doing whatever he wants, just by thinking about it.
Here's one of the things that kind of makes me nervous, and I know I shared it on my personal page about how social media gives kids anxiety. Did you watch? It was actually on the Joe Rogan podcast where the guy came on.
I saw it. I didn't go into it, but I already kind of figured I know where it's going because I can. Yeah.
I personally, how you guys are like, oh, social media is so damaging for the kid. it absolutely can be.
Yeah.
But you also, like, this is on social media, and this is a platform I'm trying to show you that there's positive ways of using social media to not just go fight with somebody over your differences or what you don't
Yeah.
believe in each other. So it really comes
With
down
great
to
power
that.
comes great responsibility.
Exactly. So the thing is now is, like, I feel like it's like I have a younger brother, and I'm not just picking on him here or his, like, that generation.
We're picking on the younger
the younger generation, and it really started with mine as well. But maybe I think, like, my generation, because I still live in a time where, like, we didn't have this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the last generation where, like, I grew up. Even in high school, I didn't have a cell phone until, like, that hit right when I left high school. So I went through my
Gotcha.
whole youth going by the street lights and the church bells. You know what I
Gotcha,
mean?
yep.
And that was kind of the last of a dying breed.
That's true.
But this new generation with these, I truly kind of believe it too with these cell phones and stuff. I know we're off topic of extraterrestrials. We'll get back.
It's all tied
But
together.
yeah, but I feel like how we're talking about how we negative personas and what's put out there. Like, I've never seen so much just. And I'm not saying it to, like, put people down if you have depression or anxiety or you want to hurt yourself or cut yourself. Like, I believe that are real things.
Oh God, yeah.
But I also feel like it's becoming the norm where if someone doesn't understand how to overcome that, like, I'm not saying that medication is not a good thing either, but, like, a lot of it's self-awareness. Like, oh shit.
God, yeah.
For me, like, when I'm feeling my depression and shit kicking, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking very negative right now. I need to figure something out and go do something.
You're able to have that discernment.
Yes. Where I think today's generation is kind of like, I feel sad, and so do every single one of my friends. So
it's fun.
So we should. It's like not a fun thing, or not saying that what you're feeling is not true. But instead of putting yourself around a bunch of people who are like, yo, don't be sad, man. Let's figure things out that make you happy. Let's enlighten each other. Let's boost each other. Let's boost that positivity. Let's encourage each other. Let's not be in that slump where if you put yourself around all those people who are just like. Being sad's okay, or you see a bunch of girls in, like, grade school right now, because I know people who are in that, but where they're like, I'm sad, so my other 6 friends, what they do when they're sad is they cut their leg. They're not cutting their leg because it gives them the release that some people go through when they get that. They're doing it, or maybe they're getting to the point where they keep doing it where they are getting that release.
Yeah.
But that is all coming because you're doing what your friends are doing, and you're doing what is socially norm.
And that's what I meant by saying, like, oh, it's fun, it's the cool thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, just the amount of just like teenage like content that's out there where it's just kind of like, where it's like, oh my gosh, like suicide is a terrible thing, obviously, and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, it's almost programmed to the point where it's like, and I think I'm right in that area because like cell phones and like being able to like get on the internet and stuff like that started when I was in like middle school.
Yeah.
So like I had like that childhood of like that discernment and blah blah blah, and then it was just like I can see now how it just kind of like transferred over. Like I was like prime MySpace emo phase.
Yeah.
Where it was just like where I can now look back and say like, wow, what a turning point. Because then it just became like, even though like I literally like my friends and I, because I was in the anime club, like fuck off, like where I created this character called Emo-chan, and he would like cut himself, and like all my friends would be like, oh my god, like that's so like, oh my god, like,
Yeah.
and it was just like, I know, like I'm emo, like it's so cool, like, and then like I would like draw stuff all over. Like I remember being in middle school, like drawing like really like emo, like depressing, like stuff like on like the side of my tests and just like whatever. And then like my teacher called, my parent was just kind of like, this is messed up. And I was mad at the teacher because I was just kind of like, it's just what kids do.
Yeah.
And my mom was just like, are you hurting yourself? Like,
Yeah.
this is not a good thing. And I'm just like, you don't understand. Where it's just like this whole idea of just like that weird programming where it's just kind of like being depressed and moody is like beautiful and like tragic and like interesting and makes you
Artsy.
cool and artsy. So like that's kind of where I was saying like, oh, it's the fun thing to do, not saying that it's only a fad, not saying that because I have major depressive
and I mean,
disorder.
and it's not a kind of like thinking about as we're talking about too, because this is the way my brain works. Where so when I say something, don't take it to stock, because I even when I just talk, because even when I said now like my generation was different from my brothers, but like even if you go back, like one of my favorite movies of all time is The Breakfast Club. So that was made when my parents were younger. You know what I mean? And there was still an emo chick in that movie.
Oh yeah.
So like that,
Allie.
so standards don't change. It's just like maybe I don't know. I don't want to discredit people for their feelings and stuff, but I just truly, truly feel that you're in control of yourself.
Yeah.
When it comes to how you want to feel, and I'm not saying like depression's not real or that, but there is a way that you can mentally overcome it yourself as well. You know when you're sad, you know when you're going through things, and if you're hanging out with 6 kids who all they want to do is be sad too, you don't have to be the same way. Like it's kind of like being like growing up for me. Obviously, it was there, but the biggest peer pressure were like, "Hey, smoke dope, try cigarettes, and drink beer." And a lot of kids now are just like they know cigarettes aren't bad. They know cigarettes are bad, but they change it to vaping because it's like a new technology. And if they're not vaping, they're still trying drinking because we're in school county and drinking. Go booze, I guess. But it's like a new pressure thing. Where if you want to be this. You kind of have to be sad. Everything has to. The world has to always be against you, and you're just, you know what I mean.
And that was me in late middle
the victim
school.
mentality.
Yeah, late middle school, early high school, up until I got into drama club, and then I realized, wow, life is fun. But then, my generation or my time, it was 2 things made you cool in my friend group, and it was who is the more depressed. With everything, but basically it was who is more depressed and who can have the oldest boyfriend on MySpace. That was my friends and I, and this is how fucked up it is, talking about like social media and all sorts of stuff. Literally, I remember, sorry mom and dad, I know you were over my shoulder 10,000%, but it was one of those things where it was just like on the sly, and God bless our parents who had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I remember being literally 13, and I was dating a guy on MySpace who was in his 30s.
Jesus.
Yep. And it's that kind of accessibility, that kind of program, and MySpace never stopped it. And it was the beginning, but you can only chalk so much up to, we didn't know what to do, because it was like social media. It was like you knew
he was 30.
You knew.
Yeah. It's strange. All right, but
anyway,
I guess our loophole there was saying how you could be easily programmed. Listen, this is what happens on all of my podcasts.
It's totally fine.
Where we'll be like, hey, we're talking about like this new video game, and then somehow we go on this rabbit hole. So welcome. So this podcast is brought to you by Hey, Look, a Butterfly.
Yeah, exactly.
we even talked about that growing up. Where I physically told you, I said, growing up for me, like you were handed a Dixie cup with a fluoride tablet, and every kid in school took a tablet of fluoride. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That is so messed up.
That's a legit thing.
That gets me so angry.
That's literally was my childhood. Everyone was on it, and you didn't have to be prescribed to it. Like you literally like, you're back from recess or lunch, and then they had the Dixie cups lined up, and everyone took their fluoride tablet.
And I'll be the first one to say I am that crazy person from that episode of Parks and Rec that does not want fluoride in the water. Yeah. I am 3,000% comfortable with being that crazy person that quote doesn't want healthy teeth. So
yeah,
because of that shit.
All right.
Anyway,
let's get back
to aliens.
Sorry, guys. We took a spin there.
Took a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah. But if you agree, let us know.
If you don't, let us know too. That's totally fine.
Conversation's healthy. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, just as long as nobody's mean to each other, like whatever.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna get. That's the only thing I fear too. Is like I talk. I just talk and just let myself go. Because one of the things I was doing for a long time with the shows, any of the shows, is I was like, as I was talking, I was kind of putting my filter on myself. And I've always been someone without a filter. And that's not always necessarily a bad thing. Because I think those filters are your limitations.
Yeah.
And then so like I'm thinking to myself like, oh my God, like in a day and age now where you just like the cancel culture. It's like I said something like where now I'm unsensitive to people who have depression. But I think depression is a real thing.
Yeah.
But I also feel like you should be self-aware when you're going through your.
Absolutely. It's a healthy coping mechanism that I feel like, and that going back into like the programming where it's just kind of like, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're not completely like accepting of everybody's shit and you're gonna tell them what to do, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, and it's
but you're telling me how I should make you feel.
Yeah.
It's kind of like see as I do as I say, but not as I do.
Yeah.
Like how dare you say that what I feel isn't real? But if you don't agree with every single view I have, you are just as bad.
Yeah.
Like we just put up barriers where we can't communicate with each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, and there goes my brain again, but that in itself is another program where it's like it's the us against them mentality, which I think we talked about before the podcast, or did we start talking about that?
Who
on
knows?
The
We
podcast?
talked for a while before. I was like, and we just looked at each
We
other
were
like,
like,
we
"Oh,
should
shit."
probably start recording. We're
Yeah.
diving deep into this.
But it's that us against them mentality where it's just like the divide and conquer. It's not just this weird colonial like idea. Like divide and conquer is still something that is used every single day on social media, on the mainstream media, on everything. It's the idea of like the further apart that we can become, the easier we are to be controlled. So like it's easier for someone to like take like a snippet of what you're saying other than like your like disclaimers of everything and like explaining yourself and being like, wow, he's such a bad person, blah 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 blah, where it's just like, no, we need to stop and be like, this person has a good soul, you have a good soul, and you mean well, and you are saying things that maybe in the beginning, like if you say something along those lines where it's just like, maybe that makes me feel weird, but then you listen to the rest of what you're saying, it's just, we're really getting away from conversation.
Yeah. Well, me personally, I was someone who I was never clinically diagnosed with depression or anxiety because I grew up in a generation, and I'm not trying to be vulgar but listen, I grew up in, we live in a male toxic world, you know what I mean? But it's like, I'm depressed. Like, stop being a pussy. You know what I mean? Go fucking play basketball. Stop being a bitch. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what I was told.
Yeah.
And it's not easy for my generation to kind of just get like even some of the terms I use. Like, I know saying some of the things I say are offensive and they can be bad, but literally when your whole life that's kind of been like the male toxic thing in your brain. Like I'm acknowledging it exists because I do believe it's a thing, and I do know people who think that it's not, and that we're making our men less than what they are. But like for a dude who can't explain or express he feels sad or hurt or he's feeling something and you have to bury it, dude, when you hit 30 or 40 years old, your kid's gonna be a fucking mess because he's never gonna learn how to cope with his emotions. And that's when you're like, bury it, bury it, bury it, bury it. And that's why,
and that's how serial killers are made.
Serial killers are, that's why men statistically have a higher rate of suicide than females. You know what I mean? Because females are more open to talk about.
Because we're the fairer sex.
Yes.
And we're allowed to be, we're too emotional. It's okay. Which I think, in my opinion, is a huge advantage over like the men. Because like I talk to like my male friends now where it's just kind of like, I mean, I've had my issues with not being able to express my emotions, but I could never imagine just being like somebody being just like, what is it, you're going to cry? You're going to be a little bitch about it? Like, I could never imagine. Like,
Except add the F word that's not fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then somebody else hears that, they're like, well, I'm gay. Does that mean I'm not good?
Yeah.
You
And
know
it's
what I mean?
just like,
And it's just a fucking down spiral.
everybody just love each other and cry if you need to. It's
That's
fine.
all right. That's why we need a giant UFO to come.
Yeah.
Because all of this will mean nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And that's why we're tying it right back in. Where we just, all of our bullshit. Like, I'm so sad today because I got a fucking 13 on my test. There's a fucking alien spaceship.
Over the White House, dude? Like,
maybe I shouldn't be learning about fucking this nonsense because that thing has it all figured out. That's my goal in life. That's why I want aliens to be real. Either they're good or bad. Because listen, if they come and kill us all, we probably deserved it. You know. But if they don't come to kill us all, they can make us a better person. If they can do the whole thing where they can just be like, all right, fucking get your shit together.
you're better. You have
way
been
more,
ascended.
Yeah. We didn't come here during the Egyptian times and have sex with you people so you could turn into these fucking things. We didn't help breed you.
We didn't send the Anunnaki here just to.
That's the thing too. So like Ancient Aliens, right? So when that show first came out, everyone in mainstream media watched it, right? And then it became a meme where if you did watch it or if you were into it, you were
a crackpot.
You were crazy.
Yep.
And
I remember. Yep.
I remember like people coming to work and like coming to like the job. You're like, did you watch Ancient Aliens, bro? And I'm like, no. And they're like, I don't know how I feel about life. Like they want me to go in that truck and unload boxes, but I just literally got my whole world turned upside down. And then everyone's like, wait, that's crazy. Okay, never mind. I'm good again.
Never mind. Yeah, it's crazy. No.
Like
I'm gonna happily go in that truck.
Do I think 100% of the stuff in that show is truth?
It's still a TV show.
No, because if it's on TV, not everything that's on there would be. And this is my conspiracy theory, where they don't want us to hear everything that's true.
Oh, absolutely.
Just give you a little bit.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of the population that's like, we fucking told you. We've been watching Ancient Aliens, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's like, and I mean, I had mentioned just a little bit, just kind of like a taste of like how far I go down. Before this started, a friend of mine is in college for making jewelry, and she had sent me something that she made that has to do with the Orion constellation. And for those like people that really go down the ET conspiracy, the whole where it's just like the different civilizations and the star systems and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So then how does that tie in at all to astrology, like your sign?
Well, see, I see, and I mean, this could also discredit me. Everything I'm saying is like discrediting me, so like whatever.
Because you're into everything.
I'm into everything. I think it's all connected and it's all wonderful and it's all helpful. But that in that time, it's just kind of people are just like, this bitch is crazy, and it's like maybe I am. Like, who knows?
One of the things with astrology, real quick, not to take another rabbit hole here, is like when someone's like, "You're Sagittarius," and I was like, "I think."
And they're like, "Oh no, I can't talk."
And they're like, "Oh my god, your sign says this, and mine, I'm really moody today because my no, you're just a bitch."
Yeah, you can take accountability. Like you don't have to make it external. Like
it's like I could be an asshole today. The newspaper's astrology thing. Like,
I will say that I have done that a couple times just as a meme, where it's just like if I have really chaotic energy, if I get really angry really fast, I'm just like, I'm an Aries, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm that asshole. But I mean, I think.
Or like someone come to me like, "What are you?" I'm like, "Sagittarius." Like, "Can't be your friend." I'm like, "Wait,
like,
why?"
that's
And they're like, "We're not
crazy.
compatible." And I was like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, you're a Sagittarius, right?" And they're like, "Well, you have a lot of good qualities, but you just counteract with me." And I'm like, "Oh, like,
you're a Sagittarius. That means you're really flighty and like off the wall all the time.
Is that what it means?
I mean, there is the stereotype, the trait, like one Sagittarius. It's like you don't like to stay in one spot or do one thing for too long. You like to branch out in like a million different.
Well,
things.
that's 100% me. So maybe there's some truth to it.
See, I think there's truth. I think there's truth in everything, and then there's bullshit in everything.
But then
it's just
my
the
wife is also
percentage.
the same person, and she just wants to fucking go upstairs, be naked, and watch horror movies.
And then and here's the thing though, because like there's a whole natal chart. It doesn't just have to do with like your sun sign, which your sun sign is like the day you were born, where it's like I'm an Aries. There's also your moon sign. Then there's like your Venus, your sign, your Mercury, your ascendant.
It's too much.
It's a lot. So it's like it's one of those things where it's just like you're not all Sagittarius, you're not all Aries. It's like there's multifaceted, and I think when you think about it from the standpoint of how much the moon controls our Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think like with the magnetic pull of everything on the day and time and place that you were born, your body biologically has to prepare to come into this world at that exact time, and it has to adapt fast. So if you come up and you crown out of your mother's vag at a certain time and place that the stars and the magnetic forces are at a certain time, like
what if you're a C-section? Does it fuck all that up?
I don't know. No.
Oh, shit.
Oh no.
Loophole.
I just start short circuiting. But that's where it makes sense to me, because you're in the womb up until that moment. You're in the fluid. Water is controlled by the moon and like the magnetic field, whatever. So in that's just my brain like going all around to like kind of like bring it all together and like make sense of it.
Or when sorry to be that guy again, or where a doctor says, "Listen, we're gonna bring you in this day and we're gonna induce you. You're fucking with all your chakras or whatever it is."
See, my whole thing is that is just like everything's supposed to happen for a reason. So
even if it's a mistake, it was right.
Yeah. So if a soul comes in, exactly. So if a soul comes in and like their date was like if they were supposed to be born like a week from now, and they're like, no, you're gonna come in and like there are certain tests, like something will go wrong if we don't bring this baby out now. In my brain, that's the universe kind of crafting, because there's something in that genetic makeup that comes from that magnetic force.
Somebody time traveled and fuck with the butterfly effect, and you have to come out a week early.
Yeah. But it's...
People listen like, what the fuck, bro?
I know. That's like... This is why I had such like... I was like, I'm not going to get in too deep, and then I got like 2 glasses of wine, and I'm just like, well, I'm already here, so...
You killed it.
I did.
I feel like, here, you talk to people about more UFO stuff. I'm going to get another fucking August-toberfest, because... Yeah.
Okay.
They come out. Oktoberfest Yingling is like Christmas. You know how Christmas comes like right after Like, so what? Thanksgiving's here, so probably like in 3 weeks, Christmas is gonna start.
Christmas is already out in Michael's.
Yeah, so that's Oktoberfest every year. It comes out more and more into the summer.
Yeah. So as I was telling him that I have a friend that is in school for making jewelry, and for people that are really really into like the ET type thing, I've always been drawn to Orion, the constellation Orion, and right before we started this alien podcast, she had messaged me and she was just like, "Hey, like I saw this thing and it reminded me of Sirius," and so I started like talking to him. I was just like, "Yeah," and like she found this thing and like
Not the radio.
no, like the constellation Sirius, which is based off of the constellation. Sirius is the dog star, and the dog has a star in its eye. It's that constellation.
Really?
Yep.
I listen to Howard Stern.
In plain sight, everything is right there. Everything is symbolism for something. But I was talking to him. He was just like, "That means nothing to me."
I'm not saying it means nothing.
No,
I'm
but
just-
like you did.
I haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet. But
Hi, welcome to me.
yeah, you know what's gonna happen? People are gonna listen to this and be like, "Can you guys go back and fuck with that depression shit more?" Like, and
We don't care about constellations.
yeah,
But
yeah. Well, here's the thing too. Like, what I kind of was maybe shooting the gun too early on this, but I was thinking like another topic in the near future because I think it's like a hot button topic, and hopefully, if that boy ever makes us our fucking intro music, we can start putting these episodes out. But I want to do a whole episode on like truth behind so this whole truth behind illusion. This isn't always like when people listen to this, it's not going to always be about ghosts. It's not going to be. We talked about it in episode 1. It could be ghosts. It could be supernatural. It could be angels. It could be demons.
Conspiracy
It could be
theories.
religion. Conspiracy
Yep,
theories.
all sorts of stuff. The government.
And one of those conspiracy theories that I kind of want to get into that may or may not be conspiracy is this whole the Pizzagate and what's going on now with the child pedophilia. I think that would be a good conversation.
That is the biggest hot issue for me.
'Cause you're passionate.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
I
think that should be an episode very soon.
I'm completely ready for that.
Because I have, just to kind of not get into it, but maybe a little bit to give people a teaser. Because maybe this will set her off and she'll choke me. And then the episode will end and be like, well, now you guys have to do it.
It's just a long 30 minutes of you dead on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm just
Because I don't know if I fully buy that every single person on that flight log or that went to the island is 100% involved.
that could be true.
Because, here's my theory going into it with Epstein. I think he knew what his abilities were. And I think a lot of his way he made his money is off blackmail. So I think if he knew that there was somebody who was a celebrity or had some type of power or did stuff that were good, if he can bring them in and get them doing something maybe they weren't in their best mind, if they got drunk and said something or did something, or even if they went into a different room and used the bathroom and then he has naked photos of them or he has this of them or he tapped into this or he tapped into that.
And that's very possible because we weren't there, so we don't really know.
And then be like, hey, just use an example, this celebrity, I know you do this for charity. It would be a shame if people thought you were on my island where I'm a known, or I'm just now a 14-year-old walked by,
That's
or
true.
are you, and now, or even if it wasn't even at that point in time, but I'm associated with this type of lifestyle, and you were here, now you were associated with me, so now you need to cut a check, or I'll expose everybody.
Yeah, and that's true, and that could absolutely 100% be the thing.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing in that is just listen to the child stars.
Yeah.
Listen to the people that have been in there. Listen to the people that have been saying, I may or may not have been raped by name celebrity right here.
Yeah.
Like that whole what was the actor that was on That's So Raven, the boy, the guy that was there, and now he's crazy and he went off on this whole thing about somebody that may or may not have been on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And it was one of those things where it's hard to believe, but is truth sometimes stranger than fiction? And we really at this point, and I could be completely wrong with this because when it comes to the issue of pedophilia and especially in Hollywood and the higher up elites and whatnot, and I know this goes against everything that the justice system says, but when you have allegations like that, it's not a terrible idea to kind of be guilty until you're proven innocent, which is a very, very dangerous line to walk.
That's very scary.
And it's a very scary line to walk.
Because there's a lot of situations too where, and I don't want to generalize, but most of the times if someone's being accused of rape, it's usually a dude. And so if a girl goes out and says, this dude did this to me, and
And
it's
that's happened
100%
before.
not true, then this dude's life is ruined because we jumped the gun saying he's guilty before proven innocent. You know what I mean?
No, and that's absolutely true. And I think my brain just works on that. And like it is a scary idea to be guilty until proven innocent, especially as, and maybe it's easy for me to say because I am female and the statistics are lower, even though there are plenty of
100%. No, listen,
plenty of
if
females out there that do that
there
kind of
there
shit.
is men who are objectified and used for that exact same reason.
Absolutely.
But it's just, once again, if a dude comes out and says this woman took advantage of me, they're like, was she hot, bro? High five. You know what I mean? He's like, I was kind of young. It was kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's so sad.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so much that happens, and I'm like the firm believer that like, and like, now I've watched the Out of Shadows documentary. Have you seen the Out of Shadows documentary? That was made by two stuntmen that were in Hollywood for a couple of years, for a long time. And they kind of went up and they saw what was happening. And so it's them kind of like coming out and being like, this is fucked up, and like this is what happens. And that also goes into like programming and too, where it's just kind of like they show you what they want to show, and you can only get to a certain level of fame if you do this, or you
have to do some
you
fucked
have
up
to
shit.
sell your soul to do this, or
Yeah.
you have to like join the boys club to do this, whatever
Yeah.
the boys club may be.
Like, you like this fame? You want to be the next Batman?
Mm-hmm.
There's a 13-year-old girl in that room. And the guy's like, that's fucked up. He's like, well, you're going to lose it all.
Yeah.
You like factory work?
Exactly.
You like factory work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
do I think like that dude is probably, like, obviously what he did is absolutely horrible, but like, is he though? Like, that peer pressure, like, you work your whole ass off to get to that level of fame and stardom and that American dream, and they're like, yo, you hit the ceiling. Now you got to do some fucked up shit.
I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it either. But it's, once again, that peer pressure. Like, someone.
Well, and that goes again, like, it's that peer pressure, like with Kesha. It was like people are just like in the beginning when Kesha was going through all this kind of stuff, they were just
Media
kind
made
of
her
like,
out to be crazy. She's a drunk drug-induced woman who's making false accusations.
Yep, and I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine that was just like, you have this young woman that has like rooms full of people saying, if you speak up about this, your entire career is done.
Yeah.
And you will be nothing. Everything you worked for is done.
I think one of the only people who like spoke out and actually helped her out of that situation, I could be wrong, I don't know the whole story, but I believe if I'm not mistaken, somehow Lady Gaga was involved with that, where she went to go to that studio to talk to that guy about something, or somebody higher up. It might not even been Lady Gaga, but somebody went there and they're like, why is she just like fucking locked in a back room, just drug induced and shit? And the guy was just like, that's how we keep her. And she came out and goes, this fucking girl needs help.
Yeah.
And that kind of like started the ball rolling.
It may have been Gaga,
Yeah.
but I know Gaga's tied to I mean, and then
She's on the list. She's on the list.
She's on a list.
Yeah.
She's on a list. And like, I mean, there's a lot of, I just found out like last week when we were talking about like all sorts of stuff. And I was just like, I love Pete Townsend. You were just like, don't you know? And I was just like, no, I didn't know.
He wasn't
and
on
I
a
was
list.
just like, but that was like years ago. He was
doing,
found with it.
He was doing research on child pedophilia and had a whole bunch of shit on his computer. But he said he was doing, and that was kind of like his way out. He was doing research, and they were like, "Oh, he wasn't actually doing it." But then there was people that came out and said like, but like that pedophilia thing is a dark rabbit hole too, and the reason why I want to do an episode, because I mean, like, if you look at like main media, or like even go back to the Romans and the Greeks and stuff, like, and how you're saying how before, like, your children may have more purity than fucking adults, and that's why they're targeted when they're young, because you do lose a piece of yourself. And
it's that spirit. And I, not to sound like a crazy spiritual person, but it's that spiritual essence of the inner child, and that purity, and that mentality of, I can't respect for myself, so I have to take it from somebody else.
Yeah. So it's like, because it's been something that's been kind of programmed in, like, so one of the things that Joe Rogan said too, and even like if you look at it, like, humanity's old, but like people's behaviors don't change overnight. You know what I mean? Like, there was still, like, in the 60s and 70s, people were still marrying girls that were underage, but there was legal loopholes to it. You know what I mean?
Do that.
Like,
they still do that. Like in some cults, some Amish societies. Like, there are some people, like, I forget what TV show it is, but I think it was on TLC, but it's all on YouTube now, where it's these girls that come from like these Amish cults where they like escaped because they were child brides. Like it's
Yeah.
happening like in our Midwest. It's happening. I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening in Pennsylvania with the amount of like, now I'm not saying when I hear that, here this goes again, where it's like, I'm not saying that all Mennonite and all Amish or whatnot are doing this. No, there's bad in everything. There's light in everyone. There's darkness in everyone. It's a natural law of the universe. Duality is a natural law of the universe. There's good and bad in everything. And because we're talking about the bad doesn't mean that we're categorizing everything as bad. But I wouldn't be surprised, due to some of the belief systems of like the like certain institutions like Catholicism, Christianity, Mormonism, whatever, anything, the Amish society, whatever it is, it's happening everywhere. There's greatness happening everywhere. Like my best friend, Emma Kleckner, hi Emma, is like the best version of what a Christian should be. And I've learned so much from her. But then, I mean, there are people that use that for terrible, terrible things.
I think my dude's Tim Engel.
I loved him.
Like if Tim said he was starting a religion, I would follow it. Because I just think he's a good person. Like, I know he believes in Jesus, and I know that's not my bag, but like, I know because
I would trust him to not shove it down my throat.
Yeah, and he like, dude, I have there's a reason why he's the probably most person who's ever been on interviews with everyday people, because if you put us on paper, when you come to our beliefs and what we're like, when it comes to that, we're polar opposites, but we have such a connection for the general idea of what we want to do to help other people.
And that's so beautiful.
And our connection's super, like, he's going to be on, what's today, Monday? He's actually going to be on Interviews with Everyday People tomorrow.
That's so fun.
Like,
and
his
that's that
fourth or fifth
idea.
appearance.
And that's that idea I said before we started the podcast, where it's just like we're arguing. When you said it's just like none of this matters anymore because the alien's here, I was just like, yeah, we're arguing over theology. Here's the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. Like two people that believe in completely different things can come together and be like, well, you know what? This is what I think a good person is. And this is what I think a good person is. And I just want to promote this and this and that. And maybe there's disagreements. Be like, it's that idea of just because somebody doesn't 100% follow the same walk of life as you, don't fall into the narrative that they're a terrible Nazi person.
Yeah. I made a post saying that all the left see Nazis and all the right see communists, and I'm the guy in the middle saying that.
I posted that too.
You guys are all sheep just following a different shepherd.
Yeah. Exactly.
But well, listen. We're gonna get back on topic here.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay there this time. We're gonna stay in that realm. This is episode 2, so bear with us. Like,
we have a lot we want to talk about.
Yeah, and we here's the thing I say with all of our podcasts. Like, people are busy, and I do a lot of different shows, so like we only have. A lot of what you're hearing on recording is we don't sit and prep. Like, we have a little bit of prep, but a lot of it is just natural conversation. Is what you're seeing on what you're going to hear on our show. But we will try to stay more on topic. But this is episode 2, so this is maybe I think what we're showing you a little bit here is maybe how wide this show's range is going to be.
The floodgates are opening.
Yeah. So there's so many different things we want to talk about. And if you're listening to this, which we need to get these out soon, because I think if people listen, like, oh my God, I want to be on an episode soon, because that's
so
exactly
fun.
what's going to happen. Is people are going to, and listen, we can have you on Zoom. So if the whole if you're, because I respect the people's opinions with the COVID and stuff. If you don't want to be here because you want to stay in the house more, dude, I can put you up on a Zoom call and we can put you somewhere on the screen and you can join our conversation and hang out with us. But yeah, so we are open to having guests and having people come on. We can come to you. You can come to us. We are open to going on location. So if you say like, hey, I think I have a spirit in my house, we'll go. We'll set up in your living room.
I'll bring my cards.
Yeah.
You should
bring them next show.
I will.
We're gonna do a reading. You're gonna do a reading of me.
Okay, cool.
I've only been read once. I just want to see how different it is.
I'm excited.
I want to see like different takes on the cards.
Yeah, because it's all different. It's like a fingerprint. They're all different.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're definitely willing to come to you guys, or you guys come to us. But it's fun. I think it's gonna be a good time.
I'm so excited.
So what else do you have in your notes here when it comes to the ET life?
I had something that I've always thought was very, very interesting. The former Arizona governor, and his name was Fife Symington. He was a former Air Force pilot, and he was governor through the Bush Senior presidency. So, I mean, I have a lot to say about Bush Senior too, but I mean, anyway. On March 13th, 1997, there was something called the Lights Over Phoenix. And basically it was like a lot of people saw, a lot of people said it was just like a V formation of just like this huge, these lights in the sky. And so when he was in his seat as governor, he didn't. I'll go more into talking about what he said during that time. But this is 10 years later after his seat. He was quoted saying on Fox 10 Phoenix, whatever, that he wasn't really allowed as governor to drive his own car and to kind of do his own thing. Like he had to have like a whatever, but he snuck out anyway because he wanted to see what everybody was talking about. And he was quoted saying what he saw was a huge craft that he quoted as breathtaking and nothing he had ever seen before as an Air Force pilot. He had never seen it before. And he says, as the governor, he wasn't supposed to drive his own car. And then he snuck out to the area where everyone had seen the UFOs. He said that he was in awe and that it was larger than anything he had ever seen, and it was massive, and it had blinding lights, and then it was silent, and that it headed from northwest to southeast, and it just had embedded lights. He came, like he said again, that he claims that it was nothing that he had ever seen, and it was much larger than a B-1. He termed it in the interview as technology too advanced for the military at the time, which we talked about that before, being like, is it though? I even have a star here that says, is it though?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when he was in office, he saw this in 1997, but he never said anything. And he was in the interview saying that he didn't want to say it at the time because, as a public figure, he didn't want to scare people and he didn't want to do this and do that, which I have a theory about that. He addressed this in a press conference, and he had told everybody that he was going to have this press conference where he discussed these lights because so many people had seen it. It was so many people were freaked out about it, and then he had even seen it. He had discussed it. He wanted to have the press conference and discuss it, but what it happened then is he went to go and discuss it, but instead of like discussing it, he came out and he was just like, well, everybody's seen these lights and whatnot, and what we want to do is we want to bring like the guilty party involved, and they brought in his press secretary dressed up as an alien, and it pissed everybody off because he had told everybody, and he was just like, oh, you guys are just way too serious, ha 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 ha, even though at the time he had seen it and he knew that he had seen it. He brought on this fake thing where it's just like everybody's too serious. Anyway, on to other matters, and it was just kind of like everybody
Just
was
quick, demean it, and anyone, and just say it's crazy or it's not real. Then it becomes a general consensus.
Yeah.
Then if people outspeak about it, like I think it was a little thing, they're like, bro, you're crazy.
Exactly. Like, didn't you see the press conference? Like the governor even said himself.
Yeah.
And like that pissed a lot of people off because they were just kind of like screw you guys, like we saw this, like we're not dumb, we're not idiots. And then 10 years later it comes out that he had saw it for himself, but he, quote, didn't want to scare the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Which my theory behind it was that there may have been word that he was going to do a press conference about it, and then perhaps he was bypassed and they said, you can't talk about this.
Yeah.
And especially during the Bush Sr. presidency.
Which has happened plenty of times with a lot of different presidencies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, yeah.
There's one other thing, I kind of just found it. It's called Hangar One. It's actually from the History Channel as well. And it's on Netflix. And that's where I heard a lot of these stories before, from this Hangar One show, because it's just different variations of different... just it takes you really down this rabbit hole, because what we're talking about here is just this. Everything we're going to be talking about for the most part is, if you're coming here for beginning to end history on anything, it's not. This is just to kind of say, scratch the surface, show you the tip of the iceberg, and then you can do your own truth beyond delusion or behind delusion. Yeah, on this Hangar show, just a lot of different things where different presidents have seen it, and we're like, when I get in office and they give me the keys to the car, I'm gonna let everybody know. And certain presidents were like, "Oh yeah, well we're not giving you the keys to that sector."
And that's what I had mentioned to you before. Now, a person that I follow is Dr. Stephen Greer, and I follow his work. He did a couple shows on the Gaia Network, which is an app that you can. It's like spiritual Netflix. And then he also has a Netflix documentary called Unacknowledged, and he has his documentary series on YouTube. Now, there's a lot of people that are like in the ET community. They're just like, Stephen Greer is an alien. Like he's a lizard person. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not sure if I buy that. But he, in his Oh no, did I lose my thought? I lost my train of
I'm
thought.
sorry. That's probably my fault.
No, it's okay. What did you say before that?
I was just talking about, you were talking about how the governor was dismissed everything and people were angry. And then I said other presidents did that.
Yes, because in his Stephen Greer's Unacknowledged, he talks about that hierarchy of people who are in the need to know. And presidents are seen as, which they technically are, which is a placeholder. They're only around for at most 8
You
years.
think Trump was told?
I think, and here's the thing, because Stephen Greer has come out and said that he wrote a briefing for Trump as he does for every presidency. But here's the thing.
He's so much of a wild card. There's no way they told him.
No, I think they told him the narrative that they wanted him to know.
Yeah, because he's listen. If you're a Trump supporter, I'm sorry, but that dude's a child.
And yeah, I mean, when it comes to that kind of stuff, like give him his phone, he's gonna tweet it out.
Yeah.
So and it's
How about when he tweeted the video where he said these were all good people, and the guy yelled "White Power," and then he put his phone down and went and golfed, and the White House is like, "Yo, our fucking president just tweeted White Power in a video," and we couldn't get in contact with him for 4 hours. They're not telling that guy the secret of
No.
extraterrestrial life.
and that's the thing. Like, well, my whole thing is it's just like there were very few people in history.
Now, real quick,
I would go ahead.
just want to make it clear for the Trump supporter out there. Do I think Trump said, "Wow, that guy said white power, awesome"? Retweet. No, I think Trump read a headline that said he was awesome, and it was against his opponent, and he said, "Well, this will be good for me." And he's just like you and everyone else on social media, where they
People
see
are for me,
where
yeah.
they see an article and they just share the article but don't read it. I actually found one. I didn't personally make it, but I shared it. But it was like the Schuylkill Mall is going to be turned into something before it got torn down. Like it's going
Yeah.
to be like a giant Comic-Con or something like that. And it's a whole article at the very bottom and says this is all fake news. And if you got this far, you're an idiot. And it was shared by everyone. Like we can't wait for Comic-Con. I was like,
That is so.
you should
funny.
probably read the entire article.
Go all the way, scroll all the way down. That's so funny.
Yeah. So sorry, he wrote a debriefing on President Trump.
And this is all things like he was a little bit of background on Dr. Stephen Greer. He was an emergency room doctor who had this huge spiritual awakening, where he was able to do like remote viewing into. And now this is really my synopsis is going to sound crazy, so I suggest you all like watch the documentary where it's
Don't
a
take
lot more-
everything we say for
Grain of
pure
salt.
gospel.
Grain of
and
salt.
everything we say is completely true.
Yeah,
I'm just
a person.
We're doing our ramblings, and I paid for equipment, so that's why we're here.
Yeah, I'm just a person.
Do your own research.
Do your own research, and if you want to just chalk it up to me being crazy and never look it up, that's fine.
If you want to debate us for being wrong, we're open to that too.
Yeah, bro, I'm so ready. I might get a little mad, but I'll like respect you about it. But he was an emergency room doctor, had this huge spiritual experience with extraterrestrials, where then he was able to do something called remote viewing, and then like had a knock on this door from like a couple of black hats.
How
that were,
similar is remote viewing to the term of, what do they call it in the movies? Oh shit!
like Stranger Things stuff?
No, astral projection.
That's different because astral projection. So you have spiritually, you have three bodies. You have your physical body, you have your spiritual body, and then you have your astral
Isn't there-
body. Yeah, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Well, it's like three Trinity. Whatever. We're not going to get into numerology. That's anyway.
Sorry,
No,
I
that's
just
okay.
keep opening more
That's
doors.
okay. I know. Like I have something to say about everything.
That's the problem with me as Alice. You know, they're just like, hey, just follow this path. And I'm just like, I'm going to check
Here's
all
the-
these closets.
and I'm the door, and I'm just like, come on in. Like I got it. Here you go. Here's so much information.
And then you're talking about your one thing, and I'm like, I'm over that door. I'm going to this
And
one.
I go, okay, anyway, here's this one. But astral projection is more like, I mean, I guess it could kind of be in like it could kind of be the same thing. That's something that I've
It just
never
sounds
looked
similar,
into.
where you kind of,
'Cause
you
remote
mentally
viewing-
you go into, well, remote viewing, it sounds like more of a meditation thing, where astral projection happens when you're in a sleep state.
But that's the thing though, it's because you still have your astral body, whether you're awake or asleep. It's the idea of tapping into it. So it could literally be your astral body going into remote viewing is basically like when people meditate or when they sleep, because sometimes people meditate when they sleep, whatever, where it's you are here but spiritually or astrally you are somewhere else and you are viewing somebody. And it's very controversial because it's like people are always just like, it's invasive, because if like you're like at your house and you want to be like, I want to know what my elementary school teacher is up to, and you have the ability to remote view, like it's the idea that you can go into them and like see what they're doing at the time.
We used to pretend to do that as kids.
See, kids have it figured out, man.
I'm not like as you were talking about, I'm like, holy fuck, because we had this group. I was the only dude in the group too. It was awesome. Like it was just because it was like we're all best friends and we just lived by each other. That's just kind of where the universe put us. And we used to do this thing. We were like the fucking Are You Afraid of the Dark kids. Like we were into supernatural and spiritual shit. So we'd play with Ouija boards and we'd go walk in the woods. And like the one night we all snuck out and went to the cemeteries. It was like 3 a.m. We're like 11 years old.
I'm like, this is so
and
cool.
And without anyone ever telling us anything about this shit, we used to do this thing where like, tonight when we go to sleep, we should all use our third eye and go and hang out with each other.
I love kids. They have it all figured out.
But there's a few times where like now I'm thinking about it, where a few of us were like, we were pretty accurate of what we were doing at that, like what we were thinking. I mean, that could also be because we were kids and we had
we were all eating chicken nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but I wouldn't discredit it though. I mean, it's good
just
to
strange
have
that like this fucking as an 11-year-old kid knowing nothing about that. Like, there was a similar thing that we used to pretend we would do as kids.
And that's that idea of just like as a kid, you have no limits.
SSGI for life, by the way. That's the name of our group, the SSGI.
Oh, that's so cute. But it's that thing, like as a kid, like you're still like allowed to have your imagination, but like everything you say, it's like we were a kid. But it's kids still have like that innocence where like the weight of the world isn't bogged down. They haven't been told that certain things are like limits. So it's like you could have been.
Yeah.
Like, and like that's the thing. Or you could have just all been eating chicken nuggets because like that's all you guys would eat.
Or we used to do this thing where like every night, because we obviously had to go home for curfew, so every night at like 11:45 we'd all look at the moon. And we were all kind of like, that was our way to like connecting.
I love kids.
Yeah.
I just think kids are so great because like they do shit like that and they don't care what anybody else thinks because they're just kind of like, you know what would be a really cool idea if we all looked at the moon? Could you imagine being adults and just have like an entire town be like, you know what we're going to do at 11:45 tonight? We're all going to look up at the moon. I guarantee that would be the most spiritual experience you would ever have in your entire life.
Some people do it when we get told there's a meteor shower. Everyone kind of saw what they're doing. Or if there's like a blood moon, people kind of go out and like, I want to go see what the moon looks like. They don't do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
But they all. So we are subconsciously we are still like, even if you don't believe in anything that we're talking about, there is probably a grain of salt in this that you probably just do that you're like, holy fuck, I didn't realize I was into that.
Because here's the thing, whether you believe in a spiritual higher power where everybody came from, or you believe in the Big Bang, nothing but scientific and like scientific proof or whatnot, that Big Bang started everything. So it comes down to that source of one where we all stem from. So that's the idea of
I'm not even sure if I'm into the whole Big Bang thing.
That's fine.
Because I feel like just as humans, we need to put a start point on something.
That's true. That could be in itself a limitation.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the idea of a Big Bang is true because we've seen it where something explodes and it kind of creates something new.
Right.
So maybe to a point that's what it could be, but I don't know. Who knows?
Because that's the thing, and that's it's a healthy amount of skepticism is very important for everybody to have. Even me, someone that believes in goddamn everything. Like I still have
everything.
I do. I still have that healthy amount of skepticism where if I'm faced with something, I check my own discernment where I'm just like, does this resonate with who I am? Does this make sense to me? And I trust my gut feeling. But it's like that idea of doing that and being able to like remote view and everything. It's just like that idea that we're all connected. Whether
Are you Italian? You talk with your hands.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm 50% Italian.
Yeah.
The entire
That's
time
why I
I
still
just
like
go
this a
like
lot
this.
because I talk with my hands a lot too. Dude, when I first started working doing telemarketing work, I would be on the phone like.
I am Italian, man. And now I'm just self-conscious every time I talk like this because I do it a lot.
Because when I first started doing the podcast too, everything you're doing right now is what I started doing too. Like,
I have like, I'm picking this up, I'm moving this around. I'm just like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm Italian.
Yeah.
I'm Italian energy.
You'll get used to it. That's why that's why you see me like I'm Molly Shannon my hands like sometimes you're really isn't it? We just watched off topic. We just watched Days of Thunder, or not Days of Thunder, Talladega Nights.
Oh
And
my
she plays
God.
the race owner's
Yeah.
wife. And I was like, man, she's so underrated. She's so fucking funny.
love her.
She's like, I hate coming to these fucking races, but when the cars come by and the vibrations, and she's like, oh, and I was like, she's a fucking treasure.
She's so good.
She should be used more.
She
She's
did
so
all of
funny.
her. She did all of her own stunts on SNL too, like all
Yeah.
that physical acting where she would just literally throw herself into like an explosion.
I
like,
love SNL. I'm a huge SNL fan. Huge SNL fan.
oh.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was always way off topic. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, I'm Italian. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. We went from Italian to fucking Molly Shannon.
And then SNL, and then I just completely
Hey,
blanked
look, a
out.
butterfly.
Exactly, the Hey Look a Butterfly podcast.
That's what it should be named.
Yeah, right. But it's that idea of, here we go, everyone being connected. And it's that idea of just like, and I talked to my cousins about it too, where it's just like being able to come in and read a room. And you don't have to be like psychic to the idea of only people like are born psychic is like a completely crazy idea because everybody is born with that sixth sense.
So I think Tim's mom's belief is the same thing, where this is something you could, it's like a muscle you could work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And even people that aren't spiritual, like I have friends that are like complete atheists, they don't believe in anything, they don't want to believe in anything, but they can walk into a room or they can talk to me and know that something is off. Even though I can put on my best face, they just feel like something's wrong.
Yeah. Like
That's that intuition. That in itself is a psychic thing.
I get categorized as an atheist, but I feel like I'm very open-minded. Like, if you tell me something, I won't immediately dismiss it or deem you as something that you're not, because I feel like that's a mistake as well. You should always kind of keep... I think it's my Batman brain, because I'm like obsessed with Batman, so I have like a Batman brain where like, don't rule everything out. Like, keep your friends close, your enemies closer. So even if you're not into what they're talking about, I'm not going to completely dismiss you. If you're a crazy homeless guy and you come up and tell me the world's going to end, and I'm like, where did he get that
I'll
from?
mark it on the calendar. I won't completely...
Yeah, I won't base my life on it, but I'll be like, okay. Maybe.
So what's going to happen this day?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's an incredibly healthy way to be, because I think the idea of... Because there's something to learn from everybody.
Absolutely.
Whether it's that homeless guy on the street or whether it's... First name that came to my head was fucking Bill Gates. Like, Bill Gates, like, whatever. Like, there's something to learn from everybody.
I am an Xbox fan, so...
I mean, me too, but, like... don't like that man. Anyway.
Phil Spencer's the main guy behind Xbox, so we'll give him all the credit.
There you go.
Bill Gates didn't build that fucking video game system.
He's not a doctor either, but that's a whole other... Anyway.
Bill Burr was the best one, where he's like... Where's Steve Jobs? He goes, Steve Jobs... I'm not that into him. And they're like, it's Steve Jobs. He's the best inventor. Did he really invent shit? Or was he just like, hey, I want all my music in this. Make it happen. And then he goes out and fucking says, look what I built. And meanwhile, it was fucking 13 guys in a study team that actually came up with it. And
all those children in the sweatshops, they're building everything.
The guys had to invent it first, then the children fucking put it together.
Yeah,
give the guy some credit. But
see, I'm just so anti, like, I'm like 100% eat the rich, protect the children, that I'm just kind of like,
yeah, I say that, but then like, I don't know where my shirt and my shoes all came from. So
me either. I'm a bad person.
So I'm a huge fucking hypocrite. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm a bad person.
Like, I don't want kids to make my clothes, but like, if shipping is two days, like,
I kind of want it now. Like,
at what point do we like get a job? You know,
you're 12. It's time to get a job now, right?
Yeah. I mean, what else do you have to do you don't have the internet? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna play in a puddle. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all jokes, by the way.
And 3,000% a joke. Everybody that knows me in person knows that I would murder somebody over a child.
Yeah. And I'm a person who's just like, I like kids, but I'm never going to have one because kids suck. They ruin everything.
I love kids.
Name one person who had a kid that, like, they always like, oh my God, your life changes. Or, oh my God, like, kids are so great. And, like, guess what I can do? Guess what I can do? I can fucking walk around my house naked. I can, at 3 a.m, if I decide I want to go to Walmart, I don't got to dress another human to go do it.
You're not wrong.
I can drink beer whenever I want. So like, oh fuck, Timmy's here. Like, this is Dad's apple juice.
You can't have any of this.
I could be me whenever I want. Kids aren't ruining my shit. And then 3 days later, Heidi's pregnant. Like,
could you imagine?
You fucking ruined everything.
And I come in and I'm just like, you piece of shit.
Yeah. People who say kids are amazing are just upset at the people who didn't have kids because they realize that they have so much more freedom than the other ones do.
I love kids.
Yeah, I mean, I do too, but I'll send them back home. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them forever.
Oh, I
But
could just, I could. I love
but me and my
kids.
wife also are not only childs, like we have younger siblings, but our younger siblings are over 10 years younger than us. So we
Mm-hmm.
like raised our younger
So
siblings.
you put in your time.
Yeah, I'm not raising any like
Mm-hmm.
if I have to go through another one of my brothers growing up. But the difference is like this is a terrible joke too. Like where like my brother, I'd be like, I'm gonna fucking shake you. Like you know what I mean? Like I wasn't allowed to do that because my brother actually get in trouble.
Yeah.
But like that's just another thing that in the human brain that we're taught to do. Like if your fucking 3-year-old jumped on the couch, which they're doing because they're kids, like I should fucking smack them. You know what I mean? Like everyone's like, I beat my kids. I'm like, you suck. You suck. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm just
See, I'm that hippie. I'm that hippie that like. I mean, I'm an only child, and I had like that stern like parental figure, but at the same time, like my parents would sit me down and be like, "What's wrong?"
yeah.
And so like I'm just want to be
I
like
mean, I
that
did-
outlet for another
I didn't
kid.
have the sit down what's wrong talks, but I think if I definitely had a kid, I think the best way I can describe myself is Adam Sandler and Big Daddy.
What do you want your name to be?
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to eat ketchup for
Want
dinner?
ketchup packets?
You know what I mean? I raised a smelly kid in class. Like I would 100% not hit my kid because I grew up where that I feel like that just does more harm than good because I think you're teaching your kid like, hey, if you don't like what shit's going on, you just fucking hit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would totally be, and if you hit your kids and you're listening, this is one of our side tangents. Fucking, I don't care. It's your kid, hit it. I don't. But I'm just if I'm around you and you fucking hit your kid in the skull, I'm gonna probably say something.
Yeah, I'm going to demean your parenting
Yeah,
style
like
if
listen,
I see that.
even like, well, I hit him on the butt. Like I can deal with the butt more than the brain. Because like when you hit someone in the fucking head, and especially when they're kids and they're not fully developed,
That's
you
like-
could fucking
yeah,
you could fucking
and your kid is always going to remember me as the person that said, "Mommy, like stop." That lady told you not to hit me in the head. Like that's always gonna be.
Yeah.
So don't hit your kid around.
like
me.
I can see little hand slaps. I guess maybe I can get behind that, or maybe like a smack on the butt. But like when fucking people are getting like foreign wet, like when someone's getting a steel chair out or a belt or a switch from the
Like
woods.
I don't think so.
I'm just not into that.
Not here. This might be your house.
When people
but-
are squaring up with their kids.
Oh no, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna call
You've
you
already
out.
you've already lost.
Yep.
But I'm the same person too. If you hit your dog, I think you're weird too.
Yeah. Don't hit your
anything.
dog.
Like even when I was at the height of my like I want to fight all the time. Like if I went up to somebody and I was like I'm gonna fucking fight you, and they literally had a look in their fear like I don't want to be here. I'd be like I'm not fighting him.
Yeah.
Because
It's got to be mutual, man.
yeah, absolutely. Because like if you walk up to a dog,
If not, you're just.
and even if
a
it's not
loser.
your dog, and I reach out to pet your dog, and your dog goes,
Mm,
I'm gonna be like,
I'm so sorry.
what did you do to make that dog afraid of a hand? You know what
Was
I mean?
he abused? Did you abuse him? Is
Now
he
listen,
okay?
lady is just scared of everything. So
I love
sh-
Lady.
but I don't know.
I love
just-
Lady. She's so cute.
I don't know. Side tangent. Sorry.
Another one. Oh, look, a butterfly podcast.
We'll get this figured out by at least episode 4 or 5. I'm not making promises for
I
the
know. I
next
was
one.
gonna say. I don't know.
But that's gonna be the charm of our show. I hope you
Yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah.
It's gonna be all over the fucking place.
Yeah, we go back and forth between crazy, spooky stuff and morals.
Yeah. Morals and how they intertwine.
Yeah, exactly. Because everything's connected. That's
Aliens.
That's how we'll do it. Everything's connected.
Yeah. So the reason you beat your kids is because of aliens.
Yep.
But they're also good, so don't do it because of the aliens.
Yeah, they're all peace and love. So don't hit your kids. Cause
So every
aliens will
alien
not
is a
like
hippie.
that.
Now, what about the people who have theories that there's good and bad aliens?
That's true too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the bad aliens show up?
They won't. I honestly feel like the negative ones. Okay. Every time I go to say something, I'm just kind of like, this is going to be in public.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to hear your voice.
Yeah.
So my theory is that the ones that.
Just say I read about this,
So I read about this one time. It's crazy theory.
and then you can detach from it if someone's like, I don't know if we like you anymore.
I read it once in a Wikipedia article. I'm uninformed. I'm just a dumb lady.
Yeah.
I read about this one time that the negative aliens that are out there are the ones that are already like kind of working with the government as like when like we talk about there's ET whatnot like Area
The lizard
51 people. That's a I don't
Wait, I just opened their door.
See, there's so when we go on to the actual like races of ETs, like that's an actual thing, like from the Draco constellation.
So it's like Star Wars, where when they all come into the
dude,
console,
like
there's
like when they're literally in the cantina or whatever, when there's like a whole bunch of them, like they're all like different, like they all look different and whatnot. Like it's, I read once that it's not too far off.
I mean,
like there's so many.
Well, that's why I made the joke in the last podcast where, like, if aliens come, like, people who believe in Jesus has to, like, God has to really reevaluate. And you're like, well, not really. And then I said, well, then whose image are they out? Because we were told in the Bible that we're made after God's image. Then what the fuck are those things with the big ass head? You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. And when it came to like the crossover between like the original primitive paganism and the original whatnot, and then Christianity took over, a lot of things got muddled and a lot of things got crossed. So it's like you talk to any like let's say native primitive people, which is primitive is just a terrible name to put for people that have more information at us that we don't want to, people up there don't want us to know. So you talk to any of them and they like Native Americans always have like the star people that they talk about and whatnot and like in all their legends and whatnot. And then it's just kind of like, in my opinion, like here comes the white man that wants to control everything, that just says, there's only one God and these are all the stipulations that you need to do to be a good person. So we can
you gotta show
control
up every
you.
Sunday and give 10% of what you made.
Exactly. So it's like one of those things where it's just like, it's a weird thing for me. But I do believe that like Albert Einstein believed that there is the mesh between science and spirituality.
Yeah.
And so I am a big firm believer in that.
Now, where I kind of blur the lines is when people say like where the Bible and science can coexist. I look at, or how you're saying spirituality, I kind of use the term the supernatural, like something that's not explained.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of religion is supernatural.
Oh, absolutely.
Where I think everything in the Bible's got like not true. I mean, 100%. Like where people like, so when you ask someone who's like a rational brain, you're like, well, the Old Testament stuff and all those mistranslations, like when they talk about unicorns and giants and David, they're just mythology stories.
Of course.
So
yeah.
none of those are actually real. That's just kind of crazy talk or just putting like a Zeus name to something.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, but when they actually find giant bones in a cave,
minute.
like they actually find legit giant bones in a cave, and then you're like, and then the person who just told you 3 weeks ago who wasn't informed is like, but no, they just found giant bones, so now the David and Goliath thing was a true thing. It was a big giant. It's like, make up your fucking mind.
Exactly.
You
And
know
it's
what I
not and I mean at the end of the day, I remember talking to somebody who was like, they were really stressed out about things, and they were like, just awakened, quote, they're having their spiritual awakening into like ETs, and they were just like, I don't know what to believe because like I believe like stuff in the Bible, but I like believe like intergalactic stuff, and I believe in like everything. And I was just like, honest to God, what helped me along my spiritual journey is I don't believe a goddamn thing unless it feels right.
Yeah.
Because almost 10 times out of 10, if you're in a situation and your intuition tells you something, follow it.
Yeah.
Or if your intuition tells you that this is bullshit, follow it. Even if you find out one day that like it's real, you're still staying true to yourself. So at that point, even if you're wrong, be like, hey, like at that time in my life, that didn't feel right. And that's valid. So like there's a whole huge ambiguous like spider webby like crazy thing of all sorts of stuff that could maybe be connected or not. And it's a lot to take in. So anybody going through a spiritual like awakening and you're afraid of believing the wrong thing, just believe in what you trust. And that is enough. Literally, that's enough.
But don't be super close-minded to everything else around you.
Exactly.
Take stuff in and just kind of throw it, like keep what you want, but don't throw away what you didn't, because you never know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like, another thing too is don't also dwell on it either. You still have to fucking live your life.
Yeah.
So don't fucking hoard it all in your brain either and fucking stress yourself out.
Because that can be damaging too.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at, where I'm open-minded to it. I'll retain it and be like, hey, you know, because realistically, another reason why I have 6 different podcasts is like I feel like I can hold a genuine conversation. I hope I can. I mean, if you listen and you think I suck at it, tell me. But I feel like I can hold a genuine conversation about just about any topic because I've dove down so many different rabbit holes.
Yep.
So many, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm into video games, pro wrestling, fucking football, sports, ghosts, goblins, religion.
stuff.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kind of in there, a little bit of everything. So just like, I don't know, but I don't. It all doesn't dwell on my brain. Like I can turn all that off and then fucking just live my life and be like, all right, well,
Mhm.
I need to work on me today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's been the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
Because like doing all of like, I mean, having the
Because if someone literally has the thought in their brain that like, holy fuck, impending doom because you listen to religion or you listen to like the supernatural thing where like aliens are coming and
Mhm.
all you think is impending doom and you're like, why the fuck is everything else relevant because this impending doom? Like, think of it as like if you truly feel impending doom is coming, you still need to be mentally sharp
Yeah.
when it comes. So if all you're fucking focused on is that and you're not working on yourself mentally, when the time comes, you're gonna fucking fall apart anyway.
Yep. It becomes a point when you're not living your human experience, and
Even
that's when it becomes
even people who
damaging.
are trained to gladiators, fighters, UFC fighters, like that's a whole mindset too, where you're training to fucking fight, where
Mhm.
you're going into a situation where you may not come out alive.
Yep.
There's a possibility where you may not come out. Even those people who fucking trained every single day, they would still have time. That's why, like, when if you look back at the gladiator days, they were like, "Hey, tonight you're gonna go to this room. There's gonna be 45 women there."
Yeah.
Your mind is no longer on killing and violence. It's kind
Mhm.
of on sex because you still need some type of release.
Yeah.
If you're only trained to fucking do that one thing, you're not going to be as well off in battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's I think a lot of the time when people get into any sort of like spiritual whatnot, there is that sense of ambiguity, and people always fear what they don't understand. And that fear is the part that can be consuming,
Hmm?
that fear of not knowing. And so that's the part that like shuts people in for like 10 years because they think like a lizard overlord is going to come. And I mean, there's a lot of people that believe that too. And I'm a firm believer that I believe in what people believe because I'm that person where it's just like, if you believe it, then I mean, thoughts are things. If you believe that, that energy is going to manifest in some way. A lizard person might not actually come down, but that fear is going to take you over and manifest into something else.
If we don't get aliens, I want a giant monster. I want a Cloverfield or like a Godzilla. That'd be awesome. I don't live in a big city, so I'm not like if a Cloverfield tore Pottsville, he would hit Pottsville and be like, well, now what the fuck do I do? It's all mountains. You know what I mean? Like,
Signs happened in Pennsylvania.
what's that?
Signs, the movie Signs happened in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but that's different. Like, it's not like
Yeah, it's true.
Godzilla.
No, they're a little alien.
Yeah, Godzilla's just like, oh my god, look at all these fucking cool buildings. And he just-
Mothra is just actually Mothman. He's just like, hey guys.
yeah, but yeah, signs that's different because like aliens kind of need that like they're not like I mean they do show up in over the big cities like Los Angeles and Phoenix and shit like that. Like yeah, that's happened. Like a lot of people have seen stuff in New York a lot too, like over like the Bay and the harbor. But who knows?
Which I mean, I feel a lot of that is just like military tech. I mean, a lot of it is military technology.
Where like we're using their technology to try to do stuff for ourselves as well.
I feel like yeah, I feel like a lot of the times there's two narratives at play. Like, I feel like, well, there's three. It could actually be aliens. But like I said, the majority of contact isn't physical. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, I feel like there's two different narratives. There's the idea of them testing out new technologies to see if people will be able to see it and how they will react, or that they're using it for an agenda during a certain amount of time. Like when we going way back to when we talked about Roswell happened during like the peak of Cold War. And then me going and talking about how Werner von Braun mentioned that the Soviets would be our first number one enemy that we would have to use like space age technology against, where it's like fitting into that. I'm doing it again with my Italian hands. Fitting into that narrative where it's just like, oh, Roswell just happened to happen during the Cold War, so now we assimilate.
And in case people like really freaked out, they can just distract them with the idea of
It's
war.
the Russians. We're in the war with Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like right now they're kind of leaking out more stuff because COVID's the big story, and fucking police killing people.
Yeah, 2020 is a big year for everything.
Which I don't believe every single person who's a police officer murders people and that you're all racist. I just want to
Neither
put
do
that out
I.
as well.
Neither do I.
I actually had a really good. This is completely off topic again. I won't stay on long. I promise.
Butterfly.
But I actually had a conversation recently at a party with a guy who works as a police officer, and after having a conversation with him, even in a town that I thought was bad, I felt really good about going to that town and their police force because his conversation was like, we've had a few situations where, even as of recently, where they were on scene and a guy said something to somebody that was racial, and everyone who was on scene that day went back to their commander and they're like, he needs to fucking go. And
Yeah.
he was gone because they're like, yo, we're trying to not be that stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
So like this younger generation. I mean, listen, I don't think like I said, I think there is more majority good police officers over bad ones.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the dual. Like Max always makes fun of me because I always say it's the duality of man.
Like Max is a good cop.
Yeah. That's a joke that Max Bolton is a cop.
He is 100% a cop. He's infiltrating the music scene to
He's
find
a
out
cop.
who.
Yeah.
He's trying to find out who's the drug dealers
Yeah.
and who's doing the bad things.
Yeah.
And he's gonna fucking flip on all
Yep.
of us. And he's gonna single-handedly take down.
Yeah, and he goes undercover because he's just like, I'm just a guy with a guitar, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
Max
like,
Bolton's a cop.
They're like, listen, you're gonna become the greatest undercover of all time, and you're going to be a phenomenal musician.
Well, he is Russian. It ties into the narrative.
He's not even a cop. He's a fucking Russian spy.
He's Salt.
He's Salt. I do think it's funny that whole Max is a cop thing. I think started on the fucking podcast
Probably did.
when they commented during the fucking war times that Max is a cop, and then it just fucking spiraled.
I don't know where it started, but I think it was because he has like those aviators, and I don't know if it was Tim that started. I don't know who started it. Somebody was just like, Max Bolton is a cop, and then it was just like,
Well, he said it
here
during
we
the
go.
in the comment section of the stream. He said Max Bolton's a cop, and I said it, and then it just fucking. I don't know if it happened before that stream, but
It might have. It's, you know what, that joke is happening. It's just, it's a
love it.
beautiful joke,
It
and
is.
we can't find the beginning of it. So in true human aspect, it's a fact, and it just started because Max Bolton is a cop,
yeah,
and we can't find an original story. So it's that's what it is.
he's 100% a cop,
Yeah.
or possibly a Soviet spy,
Yeah, or both.
or both.
Or both. It could be a departed type thing.
Do you think his shit really got stolen? Do you think he was just trying to see who?
It was a setup, and he just came in and was just like, "Oh no, there's a hole in my wall for no reason."
Yeah, because then like he could be like, all right, if I'm in this deep, right, and I could really find out who are the top kingpins who can give me money, and then when someone's like, yo man, I sold a dime bag for you, and he'd be like, write that down.
Write that down. I'm a cop.
All of mine came through GoFundMe, so I am still in the clear. I think Max is trying to secretly take me down because now my paranoia is kicking in,
Bro.
but he can't figure me out.
So that's why he
Yeah.
has to infiltrate slowly.
Yeah. He's trying to take down the interviews at Everyday People Network.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Fucking
And
Max
actually,
Bolton.
I don't know, but he programmed me into that day when we were there at the theater together to
Yeah.
start this podcast.
Yep.
And now we're in a band again.
Fuck.
I got really bad
Dude,
this time.
you believe
guys.
everything too.
I do. Oh no!
Mac-
I'm the perfect target.
Yeah. I'm so gullible.
No!
All right. On that note,
Charlton Heston during the Planet of the Apes. No!
it's just Max's head sticking out of the sand
And the guitar, and he's just like,
and a fucking black cock.
like that picture.
Max put a picture of himself as it literally. The funniest thing is it's the exact. If you took Max and just put the Snapchat filter on him as a baby,
Oh, that's him.
but just give him chunkiness because he's kind of
He's
chunky.
a baby.
He was a chunky baby,
Aw.
and then
And it's him doing the Max Bolton.
yeah, he's been doing the same pose since he's fucking 7, and he just posed in front of this big black cock.
Oh.
Not as a black cock, as a human.
It's a chicken.
It was a giant chicken or rooster. It was a
It was
chicken
a
or
rooster.
rooster.
It was a rooster.
So technically,
it was a cock.
Yeah,
it was a big black cock.
it was. It was huge.
It was a big
And Max
giant
just
black
like
cock
he just thumbs up. Look
with
at
that little.
with his chubby cheeks.
So cute.
You know, like when Ryan Reynolds would play like a fat guy in a movie and he put a suit on. That's what it looked like. Max looked like he was wearing a fat suit.
He's so cute. Little baby cheeks.
Little baby Max.
Little baby.
And that picture was taken in Soviet Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
Was
would've
it really?
thought? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Who would have thought? I believe everything, so it could have
Yeah.
been anywhere.
Was Max was he born in America? Like I don't know his whole backstory.
Yeah, because I think his mom came here in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know the story. I don't know. But that'll wrap it up for. That's a great way to wrap. Do you have anything else in your notes?
No, it was just about that, and then Runner Braun. So
All right. Well, listen. Just because we talked about UFOs, kind of.
for like maybe an hour out of however long we were talking about.
That doesn't mean this conversation is closed because, like I said, we are only scratching the iceberg. If there's more extraterrestrial talk that you'd like to talk about and you'd like to come in and tell us more, you are more than welcome. If you have your own experience, if you think you were probed or whatever happens,
You never
this
know,
is me.
man.
This is my jokey skeptic
Yeah.
closing.
You've been probed, and I'm just like, I'm here for you.
Yeah. I just watched Paul, so he's like, why do people think I want to put things in your butt? He said, like, you look, he's like, yeah, it's because the government has been force feeding you my image for the last 40 years. Like, it's a funny movie. Go watch Paul. Go watch Hangar 1. Go watch the documentaries that she brought up. What were they again?
Stephen Greer's Unacknowledged on Netflix, Sirius by Stephen Greer on YouTube, and also on the Gaia Network. He has some, I can't remember. Don't quote me on that one because I don't know the actual name of that one.
So if you watch something and you're like, man, that'd be a cool conversation to have with these fucking bozos, shoot us a message and tell us to watch it, and we'll have a call. We'll try to stay on topic.
Can't promise
And then
anything.
I'll feed you some wine. We're out of wine.
You can't have any wine. I'll bring wine.
Next episode,
time.
you have to bring a bottle of wine.
I'll bring wine.
Yeah, that was like Terrain for a while. I had a whole bunch of wine that I was given as a Christmas gift, but I don't drink it. And then Terrain came and we opened a bottle, and I took a small glass of it. I was like, "This isn't for me. I'm gonna drink beer." He's like, "Cool, I'll drink this wine."
You bring the wine. You bring the beer. I'll bring the wine.
All right, cool.
And that's how we can start the podcast.
Yeah. And so either way, we got you covered. But yeah, Terrain took the other. I gave him the rest of the box, so I gave him like 2 or 3 bottles. I'm like, take these home. This will never get drank. So Terrain took the rest of the wine. But this was the ghost wine that we got in.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a cool bottle.
Yeah. I think I like the bottle more than I like the wine, but I drank the wine because of the bottle because I'm a marketing whore.
Do you like bottles? You collect stuff like that? You can take it with you because my dad can get me another bottle.
Okay.
All right, you can have that bottle.
Yes.
But yeah, that'll do it for Truth Beyond Illusion.
Yeah.
Episode 2. We'll be back. Episode 3. Not 100% what the topic's going to be. I would put it out to you guys, but I don't know when we're going to get our intro music to put these out. You know what I might just do?
Max Bolton, the cop.
I just might just be like, fucking, here's the videos, and then put the audio out later. Because the
why not?
videos don't have intro music or intro stuff. So maybe I'll just put the videos out tonight, like kind of surprise people, like, boom, 2 videos.
Yeah!
And
That's so fun, because my mom's been like, I'm waiting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we did it for you.
We did it for you, Mom.
What's your mom's name?
Wendy.
Wendy. We did it for you, Wendy.
Good old Wendy.
I love Wendy's as food.
Yeah.
It's a good burger. You know? Does she have red hair like you?
No.
Is she into this stuff too?
Oh, she needs to come on here.
Oh my God, bring your mom.
I learned tarot reading from her when I was like 3. Like I grew up with like everything I know is because of that woman. Every conspiracy I follow is because of that woman.
We need her on here.
We need Wendy.
We need Wendy.
WNW. We need Wendy.
Yes.
I'll bring Mom next time.
Bring Mom.
Because she's really good at tarot reading too. So
I'll find out more information tomorrow. Hint, hint. If we have our guest locked in. So that may be a tint. So who's going to be on the show tomorrow? Who did I say earlier?
Tim?
So
I love Tim.
Who would be our guest if I was talking to Tim?
Tim's mom.
Tim's mom. Dude, we can have Tim's mom and Tim and your mom all on one episode. And we could talk about spirituality and shit.
Shut up. I'm ready.
That'd be a
I
great
am
episode.
so ready.
That would be a bombshell episode.
I just got more excited than I've been in like a month.
And then did you talk to... I'm gonna fucking be so rude when I say it. The witch lady from Shenandoah?
Not yet.
All right, we gotta reach out to her.
I gotta stop in and talk to Patty.
Yeah, we got Patty.
At
Sorry.
Nature's Way Emporium.
Yeah, I guess I've called it the witch store. I feel rude saying
No, she calls it the witch store.
She does? Mm-hmm. I want to learn about like the rocks and shit. I went up and I moved the bed and there's still fucking rocks on her bed.
Go Heidi, yeah!
They're not charged though, so I don't think they work anymore. What she should do is put them under the couch. That's where I always sleep. Not because I don't want to, because I'm not working, so I don't have to be up at a certain time. So my sleep schedule's all fucked up.
Yep.
And I'm someone who falls asleep with a television on. Oh,
okay.
And I know people think that's crazy to do that. I think it's because I need some type of background noise. You know how like the static noise?
Yeah.
Static noise helps me when I like go to like I don't know how to meditate, so I don't know how to properly do it yet. So I'm just kind of.
I meditate with binaural beats, which is just like music that's set with like with frequencies that are like that like achieve different things.
So like one of the things you were talking about earlier, what I do too is if I go to sleep at night and I'm like I can't fucking fall asleep, I will literally lay in bed, close my eyes, and just go into that meditation state where whatever I let my mind comes.
Yep.
And then I'll be like, I'll hear my alarm go off, and I'll be like, I didn't get any sleep tonight, but because I was in that state of rest for like 4 or 5 hours, I feel like I got like 8 hours of sleep.
Isn't that great?
I do that a lot too.
I love that.
But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of just fucking winging it.
That's just like that ambiguous part where your brain's just like reaching in and out and just kind of like
whatever it pulls
expanding
in. And that's when I have
kinda...
that weird thing I told you about earlier. The superhero thing.
Oh yeah.
That's where that comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Isn't that? I love that. That's a whole other podcast about
I want
like.
to be. We fucking need superheroes. Like that's what we need. We need
Well,
like
people are. That's like that's literally what.
we need like the X-Men to fucking overtake like the bad things in our government and make things right.
Well, here's the thing. Like, there's always like that idea of just like, well, who built the pyramids? Was it aliens or was it people? And like, I know Elon Musk just recently put out something where it was just kind of like, aliens built the pyramid. There, I said it, or something like that. Where it's just like not technically aliens. It's just like you can have an advanced species of humanity that need to.
I just think they had because like we're gonna end it. I swear to God. But like when if you look at the pyramids, there are these giant canals where it looks like some type of crane or something could have been in there or some type of machinery. So I 100% think that there was probably something there machinery wise. And then when they were like, yo, we need to get the shit out of here, they fucking took that machinery with them. Because there's no way those fucking humans lifted those stones and put them in.
Well, and then here's the thing. This goes back into like my idea about like those early civilizations that have connections to whatever, and then being able to have that connection to the inner self, which then opens the door for something else. So it's like it might not be an external source of an alien coming down and being like, here's how you use this. There you go. Now you go it. Now you're done. Okay, I'll take this back and go. But it could be a matter of just like being able to reach that other 99% of the DNA that we don't know what it is. Bullshit. Anyway, so like knowing that and then it could be like a subhuman, like an external like human
That's
thing.
fucking just scratching the surface. There's so much. Yeah, like
There's
our
so
fucking
much.
people in Egypt have the same fucking shit drawn on a wall than the people in fucking Mexico. It's like, well, how do they fucking talk to each other when there was no chance of their
And
communication?
that's the thing, man, where it's just kind of like, how are you?
Come
on.
Is the human imagination that similar that we just think of the same shit?
Like, and it was like Anunnaki, the
Anoki, he was a wrestler in Japan.
Anunnaki means ant people in Sumerian. And like it's like these beings that are like humanoid, but they're more ant-like, and so they like help.
So we legit have Ant-Man.
Literally, yeah. And so like literally, and then like somewhere else across the world, they have like the same type of thing where it's like an ant person and whatnot, where it's just like, and it could be an ant or it could just be the fact that their face looks like with the big eyes and everything.
I just feel like I want a society where we rely on like Hercules and Zeus and love and ant people and all that other shit, and not some guy who gets a terrible spray tan and has terrible hair, or his competitor, which is like literally kissing little kids in inappropriate ways.
Yeah,
like
fuck that.
I just want like, can we just have superheroes or a giant alien ship come already? Like I just want something cool to happen.
And my thing is, ready for it? The spiritual
This is what we're gonna close with. What were you saying?
We are the superheroes.
We are.
We are the superheroes.
Good. If I can get cold claws, I'd do that. Dude, the beard is here. I'm working on the hair. Like, I
Look
just
at
need
how beautiful.
I need the spiky hair, and then
Getting like you had said that you had given me like the best hair in Schuylkill County. I don't know.
Wait till it gets longer.
I
It's a
don't
lot
know,
better.
man.
I hide it for a while. Hair's in hiding right now.
It popped out, and I was just like, "Whoa!"
Dude, when it's long, it's
beautiful.
fucking luxurious. Heidi is jealous. But that's gonna do it for
Yeah, we gotta stop.
Truth Beyond Illusion.
Yes.
Here's our cool new outro. It looks exactly like the intro.
Yeah.
Bye bye.